Did you hear about the time when the most epic catfight in history led to a 10-year war? Yeah, it's not your typical Monday. Let's rewind to the judgment of Paris. Paris, a Trojan prince, is put on the spot to pick the fairest among three divine beauties: Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Talk about pressure, right? But Aphrodite, the goddess of love, knows her way around. She comes up with the ultimate bribe, the world's most beautiful woman, Helen. Yeah, you heard that right. So Paris, like a moth to a flame, falls for Aphrodite's irresistible offer. He chooses her as the fairest, completely oblivious to the chaos his decision is about to unleash. Little did he know that his choice would trigger the infamous Trojan War. And just like that, Paris turned from a shepherd to a kidnapper, all for love. Or was it lust? Who knows? With Helen in Paris's arms, Menelaus, her husband, was as angry as a bull in a china shop, and thus the war drum sounded. Achilles, the Greek hero, sharpening his sword, his muscles rippling like waves on the Aegean Sea. He's the Brad Pitt of Bronze Age, minus the Hollywood smile, of course. Then there's King Agamemnon, the big man on campus, assembling his troops with the subtlety of a marching band at a library. And let's not forget crafty Odysseus, who probably spent more time devising cunning strategies than actually fighting. And off they sailed, 1,000 ships strong, cutting through the wine-dark sea towards the city of Troy. The journey was probably less Odyssey and more, are we there yet? But eventually they made it. The heroes, the soldiers, the ships, and the egos all lined up on the shores of Troy. So began the world's longest and most dramatic siege, all because Paris couldn't keep his hands to himself. Ever had those relatives who just can't help but meddle in your affairs? Imagine that, but with gods. In the Trojan War, the gods weren't just spectators. Oh no, they were more like that nosy neighbor who not only watches through the blinds but also decides to stir the pot a bit. Zeus, the big guy in the sky for instance, was supposed to remain neutral. But come on, when has Zeus ever stayed out of anything? He was like that uncle who insists he's just watching the football game but can't help shouting at the TV. Then we have Hera and Athena, the queen bee and the wisdom goddess, who were still smarting from that whole golden apple fiasco. They sided with the Greeks. Imagine them as those ants who hold a grudge from that one holiday argument and swear to make you pay. And let's not forget Aphrodite, the goddess of love. She backed the Trojans, probably because Paris, the Trojan prince, had earlier declared her the fairest of all goddesses. Aphrodite was like that cousin who only shows up when there's something in it for her. The gods, having their divine soap opera, added more drama to an already dramatic war. And boy did they love their drama. After 10 years of war, the Greeks finally had a eureka moment. If you can't beat them, trick them. So, in a bold stroke of genius, they cooked up the most audacious plan. They decided to build a gigantic wooden horse, big enough to hide a bunch of their best warriors. Now, this wasn't just any horse, it was a horse of doom, or as we like to call it, the Trojan horse. The Greeks pretending to sail away, leaving this enormous horse as a peace offering. The Trojans, thrilled that the decade-long war was finally over, brought this colossal equine structure into their city. Little did they know it was the Greeks' secret weapon, a ticking time bomb, filled to the brim with their fiercest soldiers. As the Trojans celebrated their victory, the Greek warriors, snug inside the horse, waited for the cover of night. When the city was lost in the revelry, the Greeks emerged, opening the city gates for their comrades who had returned under the cover of darkness. And just like that, the city of Troy fell, not to the strength of the Greek army, but to the cunning of its leaders. And that's how the Greeks won the war, not with their swords, but with a giant wooden horse. Remember folks, always look a gift horse in the mouth, especially if it's large enough to hold a bunch of Greek soldiers.